Yo, 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 what up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Brothers in Arms, a new way for men to talk. I am your host, comedian Edgar Rivera, and I'm joined today by my brothers in crimes, my brothers from another mother, Dr. Dan Ratner and comedian Eric Nieves. What's up, brothers?
Great to be here with you, Edgar.
Good to be here with you. Good to be here with you.
What's going on, Eddie?
Eddie. You know, it's
How
funny.
you doing, Dr. Dan?
I'm doing good. You know, it's the ups and downs of life. I sometimes I say this when I come to see my therapist. She's like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I got to think about it. A lot happens in a day, let alone a week."
Do you feel weird, Dr. Dan, when you go to a therapist, knowing that you're a therapist yourself?
Do I feel weird?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm so used to it. Tell me what you mean. Like, in what way? I can imagine some people feeling weird about it.
Well, I could think about it like as a comedian, right, Edgar? Like if you see somebody doing a bit and you're like, I would have done that differently. And then like imagine if he's going through therapy and he's like, I would have started with my childhood.
Listen,
I wouldn't have gone straight.
I'll tell you, actually, that is a hardship of therapists going to other therapists. You're watching them and you're like,
What are you thinking? What are you thinking? You know, because you know what you think.
No, actually, sometimes it's like, I know what you're thinking.
you shouldn't say it like that. Be like, who's getting therapy here? Me or you? What's going on? It's like battle of the therapists. That should be a reality TV show.
He probably gets mad. He's already like, get to the point. I know what you're trying to say. I've known it for 3 weeks now. Okay, stop stretching this out, Agnes. I don't know why I chose the name Agnes, but
I don't know. I've never been to see a therapist named Agnes, but it could happen. I actually have. You know what? I actually have 2 therapists for different things because. I mean, I think this could be interesting for the show anyway, because I chose after the bad interaction with the therapist that we talked about last season, I decided I need this therapy to be what I needed to be. And I needed one therapy for one kind of thing and another therapy for another kind of thing. And so I told them, and don't worry, they know about each other.
Yeah.
Cheating on your therapist.
I talked to them about it and I was like, look, this is why I need it this way. And I think when you get used to knowing who you are, you know what you need. And then you can often find people better who understand what you need and are willing to go with it. So the 2 therapists I have are the best therapists I've ever had. Love them.
Which is exactly like this show, you know. Like we tell people all the time, not everyone is gonna be your person. When we build a group as men, when we build a group to talk to each other, I might tell you some things that I'm not gonna tell Eric, you know. And it's nothing offensive, but it's just you got to pick your people, and that's a good example right there, man. So.
Yeah, but Eric, if you want to know what he said, I'll tell you then. No, I'm
kidding.
Could
barely.
Dying to know.
I could barely afford a therapist. That's why I do this podcast with Dr. Dan.
Well,
get free therapy.
There are ways around that, Edgar. That, you know, like what they do is every city has like a free information hotline that'll give you at least 5 sessions. So you just come up with a list of 20 different names. And there's your year's worth of therapy. So like your first 10 sessions, you'll be Edgar Rivera. Then you'll be Eric Nieves.
Then I'll
be
Dr.
Greg
Dan.
Romano. Like, you know, we can just go down the list. Like, we know a lot of people. And so by the time you get to like your 100th free one, the operator's going to be like, you all sound like this guy named Edgar who started here a year ago, but it can't be him because he finished 80 sessions ago.
80s.
I'm just saying, it's a great way to just kind of skip the payment.
To go through it. Or get a friend that really listens to you, right? There you go.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Sometimes I don't feel it's like a much, how can I say it? It's not what they tell you, it's how they listen to you. And that's what counts the most. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. How you doing, Eric? How you been, brother?
I'm good. I was just thinking about what you just said. Like, you know, it's all about having someone listen to you. It doesn't have to be a therapist. Mm-hmm. If you have the opportunity to, or have the need to, or have the desire to, great. Mm-hmm. But if it's just talking to a friend, that's in some ways that could be just as therapeutic. In some ways, in my opinion, sometimes even more so. Maybe not in the long term if you have a serious need, but for that moment, I think it could be just as therapeutic as meeting with a licensed therapist. But that's just. You know, I'm sure Dr. Dan is looking at me like, no, it's not.
No. Actually, what I was thinking, and this will not surprise you, is like this show, it often is like that. You know, we're like each other's therapists in a way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We talk, you know, when we get stuff off our chest, we're not talking to a therapist. We're not even talking to the audience, I don't think. We're talking to each other. Like I think at this point, we've kind of always been that way. I think we talk to each other so other guys could see what it's like to just talk with two other dudes that didn't really like we knew each other but didn't know each other enough to have this kind of conversations.
Yeah.
And to show that anybody could do it, and that it could be liberating, and it helped Edgar's head get shinier and prettier, and
Yeah.
I even think Dan's hairline's improving. I think everything has changed for our lives. I think I'm starting to get paler. I think everything is just going great.
So getting paler is an improvement.
For me,
I see.
Yeah,
what?
It gives me for more reason to stay out of the sun.
I was thinking though, so you remember the horrible therapist that I did the walk on last season? I mentioned him already today, so he's obviously on my mind.
Mhm.
But one of the reasons I should have left early is he had no sense of humor. Like when I talk to you guys, part of what's helpful is that you're going to have a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I even have, there's one person that I work with, and every once in a while she needs to text me about something if she's like particularly upset. And we had this one time where I was texting with her. I didn't even say anything therapeutic. I just made her laugh.
There you go.
Because I knew who she was, and I knew that she would feel so good to be known that that's all she needed.
That's what's up, man. I mean, I think what we're doing here has built our bond even stronger. I feel like now season 2, like I've known Eric for a very long time, but I could honestly say that I'm closer to Eric now than we were 2 years ago or a year ago when we started this. And Dr. Dan, even though we've never met face to face, I'm cool with you. I think at the end of the day, it's just talking to each other, listening to each other, and just, sometimes people tell you things, and I think about you, Dr. Dan. Somebody will come up to me like, man, this is bothering me. And I go, oh my God, how do I answer to this? Because you don't want to say nothing to shut no one down. I know what people used to tell me that used to shut me down. Oh, everything is going to be all right, and all that bullshit. You're like, I don't want to hear that shit, But I think, what I was thinking about right before we got on the air today, I was thinking about how back in the days, a therapist was a sign that no one admitted to having a therapist back in the days. But now, and nowadays, it's like, it's cool. Oh, yeah, I have a therapist. Now everyone has a therapist. Now, which is cool. Which is good, it's a good thing because, you're seeking help. But back then, it was like, no therapy. I would feel the same way. If I go to a therapist and he doesn't have a sense of humor, I'm not going to open up, I'm going to be like, who the hell is this dude? I'm telling you all my problems. I'm trying to, and especially if I try to make you laugh and you just stand there all dry, I'm like, hell no, I don't trust this dude. That's it. You're done.
Yeah,
You're
no,
done.
that therapist was like a heckler. But he was a quiet heckler too. He just sat there.
I think the first time I met with a therapist, I think I was more concerned about trying to make her laugh than to actually participate in therapy. So I think it was like literally the first 5 times I think I was trying out new material.
Yeah, but you
That's
know
not
what?
bad.
A good therapist will go along with that, and be like, I know you're trying to make me laugh.
Well, the worst fake laugh I've ever heard. It was one of those ha 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 ha.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it was. There was definitely a cultural gap there. It was, but that's another thing. Like people, who get into therapy, they got to be ready to be in therapy. Like you could go to the gym, but you might not work out. You might just hang out by the juice bar. You know what I mean? So just going to do the activity doesn't mean anything is getting done unless the work is actually being done. You know what I mean? And if they're just doing it because they think it's something they feel like they have to do, or they're feeling pressured to do, then they might not get, in my opinion, they're not going to get as much as they could get, if they really put in the effort. Because you got people be in therapy and they just walk out and all they did was just lie to their therapist. So how is anything getting done?
Yeah,
Like they lie about everything else in everyday life, by holding things in.
Yep.
I think a lot of times that's a really interesting point for multiple reasons, but one of them is that a lot of times people don't actually know just how ready they are. So sometimes you can show up and you think you're ready, and then they start delving in and you're like, ooh, I don't want to do this. Other times they can come in and a person can come in and think, I don't think I'm ready for this, but they're ready. They're like, I've been dying to talk about this. Here we are. So you never know who you are until you show up.
First time I ever went to therapy, I went to a couples therapy. and I hated it. I hated it. I don't know. I want to
Were
talk
you
to
alone?
you about that. No, I went with her.
Okay.
With my ex-wife, and
I was
I
gonna say
sat
that
there.
was that was kind of creepy. He wasn't one of the couples. He just walked in on a couple having therapy.
No, because I ran
and just
out
sat
of.
down and said, "Since y'all here, you could talk to me a little bit."
I ran
Y'all
out
got
of,
each other,
I ran
man.
out of
Take a
singles.
minute. You
I
got
ran out of single
somebody.
therapies. I ran out of single therapy, so now I just started doing couples therapies by myself.
You
And
start
she's
walking
coming.
in on couples.
She's
Hi,
coming.
Mr.
She's
Mrs.
always late.
Johnson. It's nice to meet you.
But I remember, what's funny that I remember how mad that therapy session got me. We went like 3-4 times, but I felt like I was getting tag team. Like this lady was just like both of them on me, and it's weird. I mean, how do you feel, Dr. Diamondback, couples therapies when they do it together like that?
I've done couples therapy myself. It takes a certain kind of skill, and I was pretty good at it in a lot of ways. But the funny thing is, what you just said reminded me of what a friend said to me about her couples therapy. She was going at the time with her wife, and she said, every time we come out of there, I always feel like I'm really sorry that was so hard for you. And then she realized that her wife felt the same way. So a skilled therapist is actually going to be able to deliver the message while you're feeling like they're actually on your side. It's the thing you're experiencing, I think, happens in couples therapy a lot, where it's very easy for a therapist to get overly aligned with one side and not see it, and that's a problem.
I think it becomes a battle. It's like you're sitting there in front of this guy and she's talking, and then you say something, he agrees with you, and you look at her like, I got that one. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let's see who's right at this freaking at this therapy session. It's weird.
Couples therapy can often wind people up, because it's basically like, let's schedule a fight that we pay for. I mean,
With a referee,
like
someone
if it doesn't go well, that is how it goes. And you should, so pick your therapist wisely. Make sure they have a good sense of humor.
Or even better, pick your partners wisely. Let's do that.
That's true.
Let's start with picking better partners, and then we might have not
There
so
you
much
go.
of a need for couples therapy.
Stop lying to yourself and be honest from the very beginning. That's what I tell people all the time. I think relationships don't work out because we lie. We meet someone we like, and we wanna be a certain person just for that person, and a few months later you're like, who the hell am I? And that's the damn problem. So to answer your question, Eric, if you keep it real from the very get, I think you don't have a problem with that, and you don't never have to see
fewer
a couples
problems.
therapist.
There's no such thing as no problems. That's just
I was going to say,
you start off in a much better place if you're honest with yourself, which is the hardest part. I think being honest with yourself is the hardest part, because sometimes you don't even know you're lying to yourself. You may be fooling yourself. You may be deluding yourself. I think inner truth is the hardest one to me.
But also, people change. So you could be giving your inner truth at one point, and then once you're in the relationship, let's say like 13 years or something, you two could be very different people. So I do think there's a lot in any relationship. There's always going to be a lot to work out. My problem with couples therapy is not endemic to couples therapy necessarily. It just needs to be done well, because otherwise it just turns into a fight you paid for.
Yeah, you walk out of there worse than when you walked in.
Right. It happens all the time.
It's like couples therapies from that episode from the Jeffersons, when the Jeffersons and Tom and what was the wife's name? Helen.
Wait, did you just say his name's Tom Jefferson? It's George Jefferson.
No, I'm talking about Tom and Helen, the neighbors.
Oh, the
came
neighbors.
down to hang with the
I thought you were
Jeffersons.
saying Tom Jefferson.
No, that was George and Louise. Come on now. George
I think
Weezy.
he's talking about the neighborhood,
Weezy.
Dr. Dan.
Yeah, and they came. The therapist showed up with nothing but foam bats, and they just started swinging at each other and just hitting each other. And that's what to me is couples therapy. It's just verbal foam bats that you're just going in there taking swings at each other, because obviously both of you have a hard time getting on the same page. That's why you're in couples therapy. So you might not even being agreeing on the reason why you showed up there to begin with.
You know what the problem with that is you can't bring foam words. Like foam bats, at least you can soften it, but the words, they just come out swing.
Yeah. You got to put tape in their mouth and then just give them the foam bats and
I'm
then
just
go
thinking,
at it.
pull out a big foam word like I'm angry.
I'm very softly angry.
Big foam words.
That's
I don't know how we
hilarious.
got to phone words.
I don't know how we got no, but I think it's one of the topics that affect us as men the most in relationships because those are the things that we talk less with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like no guy ever goes, yo, it's hard for a man to go up to his boy unless they have that relationship already and be like, yo, I think my wife is having an affair, or my wife is having, or this, or whatever relationship. I think that's what we hold in the most as men. That's what we need to, that's why on this show, we try to talk out more so we can feel comfortable about talking about those stuff. Because I think relationships is a very hard topic to talk about. And women have it. Women, the minute that shit happens, they will call and they talk about everything. But men, we hold that shit in. So maybe not couples therapy, maybe not phone bats, but
Well, listen, that has as much to do with us people not thinking that someone's going to listen. Because no one is going to say anything if they think someone's not going to listen. But if the person that you're going to tell this to is going to listen, I think most people will, even guys. I think guys are coming around to the point. Then it's never going to be, depending on how long you've known the person, it's never going to be as open and as honest as or as immediate. But I think it can happen over time. I think we're at a point now. We've talked about some serious stuff in relationships with each other, and this is with a camera on us. So,
you know what that made me think of? The Johnny Depp trial.
Oh,
the what?
What a segue to old news.
Yeah, it's time. I seriously, I was like, how did we actually end up here? We rambled in all kinds of different directions, and we ended up in the perfect place to talk about the Johnny Depp trial anyway.
Bad couples.
Bad couples. The problem in America.
But seriously,
everybody hides
couple
their problems.
Talking on camera.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm supposed to introduce old news. Should I do it?
Yeah, let's Edgar,
it.
you want to do some old news?
Yeah, bro, why not?
Right.
Dr. Dan segued us into it, man. We can't say no to Dr. Dan. He's the therapist here.
Right. It's time for old news, maybe from yesterday.
That's right, because it's old news only because we haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah.
Today's old news, oh boy. Come on. We've all heard of it. I don't know. I think we've discussed I don't think any of us are really hooked on it, but the whole country's hooked on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial. Now, for those of you who have been on Mars, Johnny Depp, his ex-wife Amber Heard put out an article in 2018 claiming she was a survivor of domestic abuse. Johnny felt that this was a defamation against his character and caused him to be kicked out of the Pirates of the Caribbean. So this is actually, so they're suing each other now. They're actually suing each other. This is their second go-around, by the way. First trial was in Britain, which Johnny lost. And Johnny said, you know what? The heck with the Brits. I'm going to win this in Virginia. So he took the case to Virginia because with his hats and his jackets, he kind of looks like he lives there now. So it kind of makes sense he'd want to go hang out in Virginia. What's killing me is that the whole world is watching this trial like it's a movie, like it's a documentary. And people are picking sides, and people are talking about, is he dating his attorney? Is Amber showing up with liquor in her water bottle? Like, these are stories that I've actually seen written about this thing. And it just kills me how social media has turned what should have been just a couple that broke up and stood broken up. Now they feel the need, because of social media, to win in the eyes of the public, that they're willing to go out and put all their lives out talking about how she took a shit on his bed. And they're willing to put this out there for the whole world because they want to be right in the court of public opinion. And to me, that's the scary thing about social media, is that it makes people want to be liked by a large community rather than do the right thing or just act the right way. But I open the floor, first of all. Brothers, have you caught any of this trial? I know we all heard about the dropping a grumpy, which is, I never heard that term before, which is taking a shit on the bed.
I never knew that either.
Yeah.
I found that out yesterday when we had the meeting for this show.
Yeah, so, but I open the floor. Fellas, what do you think about the trial? And what do you think about social media?
Okay,
Jesus.
these are broad topics, so We'll just get started with it.
And
then
what
we'll
do you
see
think
where it goes.
about this weather?
What do you think about the universe? I'm kidding. No.
Really? The universe. Hold on, let me get started.
Oh boy, here we
No,
go.
I'm just
This is gonna be a long episode. So, I mean, I think lots of things about it, but one of the things I was thinking about is how this relates to our show, because we talk about people learning to open up and talk. So my question to you guys is, does this help with that, or does it actually make it worse? I don't have an answer to that, but I'm just curious.
I think it helps. I think a lot of relationships are probably going through the same problems and they just try to hide it, you know. It's not so much for seeing who's right and who's wrong, and it has gotten to that point, Eric. It has gotten to that point, and now it's just a battle, because now I want people to know that I was right and she was wrong. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are going through this, and the fact that we are all seeing this trial, it puts us in that therapy seat. So now we're the therapists. Now we got two people complaining to us, and now we're here picking sides, which is just what we just talking about a few minutes ago. You know, so we like, I'm pretty sure the females are all with her, and then you got some guys that be like, oh, you know what, Johnny Depp is a pussy for being up there crying. But you know what, I kind of admire Johnny and what he's going through. From what I've seen, I haven't followed the trial. I don't know really that much about it, but it takes a lot for a man to go up there and admit those things, you know what I'm saying? In front of the public eye, like you said, Eric.
I don't buy that at all. His whole life has been public since in the late 80s. So I think that he thinks in a different mindset. I don't think this does. I think it may institute some conversations between people, but I don't think it's doing good at all. Okay? First of all, the way he's treating it, like it's he's kissing fans on the way in. You know, they're shouting, "We love you, Johnny." They're shouting death threats when she walks in. It's become a public spectacle. You know what I mean? And the thing is, most people in the world don't have the money or the interest to drop all these attorney's fees and go on national television and talk about a physical, violent breakup. You know what I mean? I just don't, and I don't know if that's going to do anything to promote women coming forward, because from everything I've been reading, and if you look at the polls, most of the general public is actually siding with Johnny Depp. Believe it or not, Edgar, even the women are signing with a petition to get her fired off Aquaman. Hit over like 3 million signatures. It might even be more than that. 3 million online signatures to fire her because of this trial. Think about that.
Well,
what I mean?
This to me is another problem with the whole idea of social media, and that is that you've got mob mentality that can take over in all kinds of places, and there's no moderation of it. No one's moderating it, and I think social media is making it get more and more out of control that way. I mean, I can see both sides of what you're saying, and I think I guess I would say it this way. I think that it could go towards some good things, depending on how it's used. But I think that I don't really trust the mob to go in the right direction on this one. It feels like they're going to. I mean, is this really any different than a reality TV show? It's really not, except for who's paying for it. There's just no difference whatsoever. And then
I think it's worse. I think it's actually worse, because these were two people. These were people that were married. They were in a relationship, and it's at least reality TV. It's somewhat scripted, and no one wins here. When it comes to it's like no one really wins in a divorce. There's just two losers. It's just the extent of the loss may vary depending on how much you had invested. This is not going to help either one of them. And I don't think it's going to help their reputations either. So why do it other than just for the gratification of being right in the eye of public opinion, which to me is scary. Because if I was rich, I wouldn't care what people thought.
But it seems to me that Johnny Depp's reputation is going up from it. Like, everybody just loves him. They watch him like take the lawyer and kind of mess him up and just be like, okay, so you're asking this and that's not exactly exact. I mean, you watch Johnny Depp kind of playing with that lawyer. I got to admit, that was kind of fun to watch. To
I
see
gotta
a
check
lawyer
that
have
out.
to deal with that. That part was kind of fun. But
Well, first of all, kind of have to blame the laws of the country that allow something like this to even go to trial. You know what I mean? Especially, like I guess you could sue anybody in this country, and any court will listen to it. But I just don't see, even if he wins, what does he win? Does he? I mean, is you think this is going to bring his reputation back? I think anyone that was with him before is probably still with him now.
well, I think it just brings him into the public consciousness again.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. But I think this is to your point, Eric. The question is this actually good or not for society? And I think if it helps people talk about things, then that part is good.
Mm-hmm.
But which is the part Edgar was talking about. But if it leads to a lot of mindless ways of interacting with people and a kind of emotion-based instinctual response, which is what usually happens in mobs, it's going to be trouble. That's why I worry about it.
But it's almost always like that. I mean, it was supposed to be a town square or a town hall where the world can come in and exchange ideas, and now it's become a battlefield where you're looking for those that oppose your ideas or have opposing views to take them down.
You're talking about social media, not the
Social
Johnny Depp
media.
trial. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I'm saying yes, definitely talking about social
I was
media.
like, what's going on? I was lost for a second. Thank you, Dr. Dan. I was like, what the hell does this have to do with Johnny? I don't know, man. I mean,
to me, it's all connected. To me, it's all. I think that people get such a high from being celebrities. I think the celebrity high thing has always been there, right? I think that's why people wanted to be celebrities from the beginning, was that sense of being important and all that stuff. So I understand that, but now social media, now anybody can feel important without having to do anything important. At least you had to do something important, like something smart or something artistic. At least, not for nothing, Johnny Depp wasn't a internet created global star. He was a global star. What I find sad is that someone that's a global star now looks like he booked himself on court TV for a miniseries, and only to win in the court of public opinion.
I think
That's scary to me, because that tells me that this whole internet, this whole social media thing is just so strong that even someone that's world famous and rich still feels the need to want to win in that arena.
Yeah, to me, it's all about what conversation emerges. Like Edgar, what you're saying, I don't think it's wrong, as long as that's the conversation that emerges. Like, and wouldn't it be great if that was the case? I find that with social media, it's not usually the conversation that emerges, but it can be. I've had some great conversations on social media from all kinds of things. It just, what I think it takes is some discipline from everybody who's involved. And you're not going to get a lot of discipline from a very big mob. But, I think there's a lot of good that can come out of social media, but we have to use it very responsibly, and everybody's got to use it responsibly, or it's going to be a problem. And I hate to say it, but I don't trust the wider community to use it very well so far.
Yeah. Getting back to the trial, though, Eric, I think this trial has escalated to this point. That's why it's gone. Maybe the fact that he did lose in Britain, and now even we don't know. None of us know what really happened. He said, she said now. It's all he said, she said. So maybe as a man, I'm like, you know what? I lost this trial, but I didn't do this. So I think what's happening now with this trial, it's because of what happened there. Maybe it's him trying to clear his name for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think both of them were damaged by this relationship. I think that the way this court, to me, is something that it's it's either someone has to lose that case. Someone has to be the one that did something slanderous to defame the other one's character. I think they both just fucked each other up. You know what I mean? I don't think either one was an innocent bystander or a victim. You know, I think Johnny Depp is, quite frankly, just a better actor than Amber Heard and did a better job on the stand than Amber Heard. That's my opinion. He's a better actor. He knows how to take pauses. He knows how to work cameras. Amber Heard's okay, but I saw Aquaman. She was all right. But you know Johnny Depp. So I think he's done a good job being all smooth and winning and all this stuff. But you're not hearing the call to arms for victims' rights. What you're hearing is I don't believe the woman. You're hearing a lot of people saying I don't believe the woman because of the way she was dressed or the way she was sitting and all this stuff. Is that really helping the cause?
Well, I have this is maybe even an even deeper question about that. It's like, do we really have any right to have any opinion on it? We don't know what happened. None of us did.
Exactly.
You know, but here we are with everybody looking in, and everybody's got an opinion, and they're like, well, I don't know.
Why is that? Why are we watching it? Okay, we don't. There's a lot of court cases that happen every day, Dan. We don't see fucking none of them. All right.
I agree.
We're seeing this one because they insisted on having this on television. It's not like that. You know, they wanted this in a public forum. So how could you tell me it's really about a private matter if it has to be done in a public forum? All he had to do was win the case, Edgar, and he wins his name. All the details would have been inconsequential and sealed under a court under law. And then it could have been settled. He could have won his name. But no, they turned it into this. And this is because of the world we live in now. And a part of that is the influence that I feel that social media has now, and just even the way we think. Nothing's private anymore. You know what I mean? I'm taking my woman to court, and I'm gonna put it on TV.
I totally agree with you on all of that in terms of why it happened and that it happened and that's not good in a lot of ways. But here's the most disturbing part for me. I think it happened this way because this is what people want.
Yeah.
I wish that wasn't the case. And I think we need to look at what we want, because you can want a lot of things that are not good for you. But this is wanting things that are not good for us.
You know what I think about? I think about how many relationships are out there right now probably going through the same thing. That can't afford the lights and can't afford the trials and can't afford the spotlight to hear their story. But there's a lot of people out there that are probably fucking rocking the same boat, and seeing this trial is probably helping them in one way or another with their own personal problems. You know, I mean, like I said, I don't know nothing about. I don't even watch the news, dude. I really hate the news. I hate anything that has to do with news because I feel like all they do is trying to scare us. But I'm not into this fucking trial at all. But at the end of the day, I know what it's about. And being someone that was in a domestic, abusive relationship myself, from the man's perspective, I mean, it takes a lot. I think it takes a lot for someone to go up there and speak that shit out, whether he was acting or not. Because it's crazy too. Because I think about that, and I'm like, oh, he's a great actor. He could be up there acting his ass away, But is he?
Yeah, and I think the gist is we need to be more disciplined about what we want as people. We really do, and as a community in general. That's one of the reasons I love this show. We're doing this out of what we believe, but we're also being disciplined about doing it. Mm-hmm. Because things can go sideways very easily, and everybody's letting it go sideways, and that social media rewards that. I mean, if it goes viral, who's going to bat an eye about it? That's all they care about, you know? And that perverts our interests and our values. I mean, I hate to sound so old-fashioned about it, but somebody's got to say this stuff. It's a problem.
I mean, but think about, I mean, this particular incident, this particular trial took a lot of really important, in my opinion, news off the table and turned the nation's focus on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard when there was a lot more important things going on. But I guess the news is kind of like bubble gum. They just feed him something that's just kind of mindless and numb and just let him chew on it so that way we don't think about other things. But I mean, I guess to me, there's just so many more important things we could be talking about and focusing on than the fact that, even though the fact that she took a shit in his bed. Now, here's a question, fellas. Now, how fine does a woman have to be for you to not kick her out of bed after she takes a shit? Now, I've seen Amber Heard. She's pretty, but I don't think I'm going to keep you in the bed with shit level. Now, I just want to know, is there such a woman that you would actually be like, you know what, I would let that sit there till tomorrow, just to make sure I get pussy tonight. So,
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, like,
But did she take the shit? Did she take the shit in front of him?
This is what I love
this
about
is like
working with
something.
comedians.
This is something that she did on her own. Like, did she take the shit when he wasn't home and he came home to shit, or did she take the shit while he was there?
No. You came home. She's lying there with shit in the bed.
With
How
shit
fine does she have to be for you to let the shit stay there and not correct her on it, and then to get some ass?
All right, wait. I have to ask questions about this before we even possibly go there. Because I had heard about this vaguely in the trial, but this is, I have to say, I have not watched a lot of the trial, and partly it's because I'm like, I don't want to reward this too much. There's some way in which I kind of have to, and then you hear about like a finger getting cut off or not, or whatever that was. So I didn't even hear about exactly what this was. Why did this happen?
I don't know all the details either, bro. All I know is that she took a shit in the bed, and she tried to say
on purpose,
on purpose. On purpose, she took a shit in the bed on purpose, and she tried to say it was the dogs, but they got little dogs, and no little dog's gonna take a big shit like that. So,
I just find it disturbing that she was still laying there with the shit,
Well, it's her shit.
That's the shit that blows my mind. Like, if I was to accidentally take a shit in somebody's bed or in my own bed, that first thing I do is try to clean that shit. She was like, "Oh, okay, don't worry about it." You know what I'm saying? And was it on his side?
Is there a woman fine enough that you would let that go? Like,
No, dude, man. I can't believe you made me think about that, bro. That's fucked up, but you made me think about that.
It seems to speak to something terrifying. Like, how can someone do that and not try to clean it up? Like, there are accidents maybe, but come on.
I think I would still try to have sex with her and then clean up and break up with her. But I think I would still try to get the one in there before, be like, "Oh, that was good. Get out, you nasty person."
That shit was the shit.
There's no way that's real. Eric would be like, "Get out of here right now."
Come on, man. Even in the game shows, if you lose, you still go home with a lifetime supply of rice-a-roni. I mean, you gotta go home with some kind of consolation prize if you gotta kick a shit taker out of your bed. But
that's hilarious. That's the only thing. That's like the only thing Eric knows about the case. He's like, "Nah, man. You know what? I don't know."
I know that I watched the clips of the first day he testified, and he literally looked like it looks scripted. He was all very haunted with his words. He's like, "Well, I don't want to." So I was telling, chopped off my finger.
That's a good imitation.
Oh, you need the hair.
That's not the question you asked me before, but this is the answer I gave previously.
Yeah, what's funny though?
What are you doing? This is horrible. And it took forever. He said nothing. They were both drinking and doing drugs at the same time. You know what I mean? It was two people getting high, young, throwing shit at each other. It wasn't like one person was throwing and the other one was cowering in fear. This seemed like a War of the Roses type of thing to me. And I guess that's why I'm a little offended that they think so highly of themselves that they feel like this has to be the spectacle that it has to be.
That girl is ruined for life. I also feel bad for
society that we're all watching it.
Yeah, that girl's ruined for life. She will always be known as the girl that took the shit in the bed.
She better win some money because let me tell you about, Mel Gibson called a dude a effing Jew and all this stuff and pretty much was said some Christian stuff that was just anti-inflammatory. He's still getting movies. They still trying to do Lethal Weapon 5,
well,
bro.
I mean, I do think I feel like I want to represent the females out there watching this, because I know for a fact society is generally harder on women about these things. If a woman has a problem like that, she's done. Like there's very few times they come back. Men, it's like they forget about it like 4 years later.
No,
Yeah,
but that's
men
why I
move on.
said she's got to win some money, Dan. That's why I hope, not for nothing, because Johnny will make money. Johnny will be in another movie very soon because it's Johnny Depp, and they'll
this
hire
just
him.
elevated him, right?
You know what I mean? And I mean, they still giving Oscars to Roman Polanski, who can't even come home because he's wanted on a statutory rape charge since the 70s. So, it just, it's like, so, he'll get forgiven. He'll do another movie. This woman will never work again unless she finances the project.
Then again, that shit might make her more famous.
Well, actually, that there is that point. Social media has skewed things so far that we don't actually know what's going to happen from this. I mean, I do think men have a much easier time than women in these things, generally speaking. People tend to be pretty hard on women in lots and lots of ways. But we don't know how this will go. Social media can go so crazy,
And I'm gonna go back to what you said, Dr. Dan, because you said you haven't followed the case that much. I haven't either. As much as people talk about it, as much as I see it on my social media, I don't care. There's a lot of people that I don't care to look at it. I don't give a shit about it really. But it's crazy because social media has made it way bigger than it is. It was a random person, me and somebody else on court. I'm like, I want to make this public so the whole world could see it, but they don't care about us. But social media has made this case way, way bigger. Like everybody has an opinion on it, which is the craziest thing, which is, we talked about social media yesterday. We were like, oh man, social media, what are the pros and cons of social media? Obviously Eric hates social media. It's clear that Eric,
All right.
Fucking hates.
I'm going to clarify how I feel about social media, but continue.
No, so so I'm on a boat. Like, okay, you know what? I need social media. I'm a comedian. I need it as much as I wish I could delete everything tonight and just never worry about sharing anything with anyone again. And I wish I could do it, but unfortunately, with the work that I do need social media. Do I like social media? No, I hate the work that you have to put in social media. To stay active on social media, you got to do so much every single day.
Well,
And I feel like we're
you-
glued like this to that phone.
Don't you also hate that how people are valued is totally skewed? I mean, like, I think that's part of the reason that you must hate it, as you're trying to get a social media following so that you can do your work and let people know about it and have them see your comedy. But it's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I'm promoting
turning
a
the
show.
entire world into middle school.
Yeah, I'm promoting a show that I'm doing next week. No one sees it, but the whole world likes it and shares this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the crazy thing.
But that's why Edgar, how many people actually come to a show that you're promoting based on a flyer you posted? Very few. Okay, I mean, sometimes I'm beginning, and not for nothing, promoters promote, comics tell jokes. You know what I mean? Now there are internet comics. To me, comedy and call me old fashioned, as much as I love the internet. To me, comedy is something that's live with a stage in front of a live audience. Yeah, I believe you can be funny on the internet. I'm not saying that people on the internet are not funny with their little blogs or videos or whatever. But it's not the one-on-one of you in front of a bunch of live people, and you get an immediate reaction. Then one thing about the internet, you're not really seeing these people. You're not really hearing these people. You're not feeling them. You're going for the lowest common denominator to get as many as you can as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the easy way out. That's why you'll see these internet performers, when they're asked to perform in person for a specific audience, and it's not the people that just log in. It's like when you're funny to your coworkers, they like you. Of course they think you're funny. So the people that like you on social media, they like you. They're going to feel you're funny. But go to a room of strangers where nobody likes you and nobody knows you, and you make them laugh. That's stand-up comedy. Now, that's maybe you're doing that. They're doing internet comedy. That's different. To me, that's stand-up comedy. So I don't consider the people that only do it on the internet stand-up comedians.
Well, the sad part is that the way society's going now, you need to do it. You know, we could be old school as we want. I hate, I feel the same way you do. I feel like what I post doesn't make me funny on person. You know, you want to see funny, come see me in person with just a mic on a stage. You know, yeah, I agree with you 100%. But I also, agree with the fact that we have to be on social media. Why? Because everyone else is. So if I post a flyer and two people come from that show, I'll be happy for just those two people. But at the end of the day, no one is really looking at everybody's on social media. Everything is on social media. These kids nowadays, everything is social media. You know what I'm saying? And I know how you feel about it, but how do you feel about it, Doctor? How do you feel about social media, Doctor Dan?
Well, as you were talking, one of the things I was thinking about it is the psychological impact on kids, especially with social media. I feel lucky that so far my girls they're not into social media. They don't even know much about it.
They're not
I'm like,
TikToking?
no, I'm like, let's keep that going for as long as possible, because I think back to, we grew up in a time, I think we were pretty lucky because we grew up in a time before all of this. We grew up like in the analog age, but we also got to experience what this is like. So we're the generation that can comment on the difference between the two. And I do think that there's a lot of very big, more than potential problems, but you see it happening everywhere, and it's leading to all kinds of things that we don't even realize. Like when it comes to school shootings, for example. I think that stuff is happening more and more rapidly, at least partly because of social media, because everybody is looking for that big stage, and everybody's mad about all kinds of things, and everybody's riled up, and you keep messing with this and it heads to very bad places. But just from a psychological standpoint, I mean, every study will show you that people's happiness decreases when they just have way too much screen time. And some of that is because they're detaching from the reality. They're not connected. It's like artificial connection. You feel that you're connected, but are you really? It's similar to what Eric's saying about comedy, I think.
Yep, that's right. Because comedy is an exchange. Comedy is a conversation between an audience and an individual, where I'm explaining to you who I am, what I think, and why I think it's funny. Those are carnival barkers on the internet. They're just looking for a tagline, and Edgar, you're right. Maybe in our business, maybe that's kind of necessary, or but sometimes you just have to ask yourself: is it worth the price of admission if I don't like everything else that it represents? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think if you use it responsibly, it's different though. Like even in my line of work, I'm trying to spread the word about how your mindset and what you're thinking and what you're feeling changes your actual physical experience and leads to chronic pain. I'm going to need the internet to spread the word about that. And in fact, I'm going to do it much better with that. So the fact that you can reach a lot of people, that part could be good, but it does have to be used very responsibly. And I don't think that's happening.
Not everybody's
that to me
doing
is
it.
the problem.
Not everybody is doing it. I think
You think Elon Musk will fix Twitter?
if he could buy it, but listen, supposedly he can't. He can't afford it. Supposedly,
It's still a question as to whether he would.
Well,
Yeah,
and there's the thing. The first thing he said, and this is what should scare you about social media. The first thing he said is, after I buy this, I want to make sure that only 5% of the users of Twitter are actually not human. So that means I think there's like a 30% bot rate in bot usage in Twitter or something like that. Like on average, there's advertisers and people just sending out automatic messages. The stuff that really fucked with us during the election. I just think that it's become such a weapon, and it's become something that can be used to just do far more harm than good. And yeah, I guess if you only use it to share pictures of grandma or an anniversary, or if you want to, tell people it's your birthday, then yeah, I could see that. But I think that how do you get a society to all want to use this responsibly? I mean, what is it going to take? Man, people live YouTube broadcasts them killing other people. This happened a couple of weeks ago, literally on Facebook Live. I mean, how crazy is it that people wanting that moment so bad, and they know millions will see it, and it makes them feel good because they're winning on social media because everyone knows what their name is now. I mean, that's what bothers me about social media.
That's the problem.
Not what it does, but like, just like when they invented the science behind the nuclear bomb, I have no problem with nuclear fission. What I have a problem is what they're doing with nuclear fission. That's what I have a problem with.
Right. I think that's true for all advancements in technology. There's always the danger that it could be used for very bad purposes. And we got to be careful about that. And technology is getting created more and more and more. It's interesting, though, because you think about it, and the internet, as an example, it got us through the pandemic in a way that, like, can you imagine what that would have been like if we couldn't connect in that way? Like, so there are
ups to it.
There's going to be good sides. I have to say, and I'm usually a very optimistic person in general, but I do, and I still have hopes that we can do this. But I think for things to go well, you have to shine a light on what's not going well. And that's why I'm saying this is not getting used in a way that is responsible. We're totally out of control.
I mean, it's to me, it's just it's a form. First of all, bullying is getting out of control because of it. Because these poor kids, you were talking about what it's doing to kids. It's totally ruined. Kids don't even know what they look like in real life. They know what they look like making a specific pose with a specific filter under a specific light. But they have no idea what they look like as a total person. So they have this mind's eye image of perfection in this one shot because it's the one pose that they've perfected on their picture. And to me, it's just messing with their ability to see themselves as they really are and appreciate their own beauty, especially if they're comparing it to a bunch of other people on TikTok and Twitter showing their beautiful pictures. So I just think that the harm is outweighing the good, in my opinion. It's to the point where, it's doing a lot of good, but how much bad does it have to do before we all get it and know how to use it?
I mean, I would say, Eric, that I'm pretty sure in society, if you asked every single person, is it doing more harm than good? Most people would say yes, it is doing more harm than good.
You think so?
I actually
with kids, I agree 100% on that.
I don't know. I honestly think people think that this is a good thing because now you get to learn things fast, but you don't even know if it's the right thing anymore. You just know that it's fast.
I think they like it. They like it and they can't stop it, but that's not the same thing as them thinking it's a good thing. I mean, if you look at, here's a good example. From the political landscape, I don't like getting political on either side, but I think that I hear it from both sides, the complaints about the fact that you can't trust anything anymore, that there is just no truth. That to me is an acknowledgement that this social media experiment is going very badly. So it probably depends on how you define it, but I think in the way that I'm talking about, if it were just defined as, if we could just lay it out and be like, okay, here are the ways that it's impacting us. Is this good or bad? If they saw it clearly, they tend to say, no, it's bad. If you ask them, would you rather not have it? They'll say, no, we got to keep it. I want it.
You can't, but you're not going to put that horse back in the barn. I mean, this is something that it's already out there. The scary part is it was supposed to be a unifying thing, but it's become now very divisive because the world likes to think in binary terms these days, and the internet is almost like the ultimate social club. You're either with this idea or against this idea. You either believe in this or you don't believe in this. So there's no middle ground anymore. So no middle ground, no conversation, no growth. So how is something that's supposed to be so unifying can be so divisive at the same time?
Well, even hashtags divide people. They're just like, okay, this hashtag is siding with this. I mean, the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, it's like, which one? There's no like hashtag I wish people would get along. Nobody's going to go to that hashtag.
Well, I'd like to see a hashtag like, increase awareness of DV awareness. you know, or hashtag let's discuss DV. You know, like you listen, and that's what. Now, if somebody posted, I don't know exactly what the hell happened, but I do know something happened and it was violent, and that needs to be discussed. DV awareness that I could get, but it's become who's winning. Do you like Johnny or do you like Amber?
No, that's the thing. It's appealing to the primitivity in us all, and we all have it. We all do, me included. We all have that draw to it, but that's what it's appealing to, and it always goes to the lowest common denominator, and that's what's happening.
No, I don't have no primitivity, man. I got my booster shot.
I think, I think when it comes to social media and I think what it's doing to the kids nowadays is the worst. These kids don't know nothing but their phone. You know, there's no let's go to the park, let's go to a playground, let's watch a movie. Everything is on social media. And the problem is that whatever they see, like you said, Eric, whatever they see there, they're gonna compare. They're gonna try to, it's a comparison. Like you said, Dr. Dan, and I asked you yesterday during a meeting, are your kids always on tablets on social media? And you just said that they're not on social media yet. But the problem is that they're getting older, and then they'll go to school, and then when they see that all the other kids got social media, they're gonna feel left out, and eventually it's gonna get to that point. But I think
that's true. But
parents need to. I think us as parents nowadays see kids, and to keep them quiet and keep them calm, they'll just put a tablet or give them a phone. You ever see that? It's just like, boom, here, take the phone.
Sure.
The kids,
It's a pacifier. It's this generation's pacifier.
Yeah,
totally.
But that's the worst freaking pacifier that you could give a kid. Talk to a kid, teach them something. Like I got in the car the other day. The girls are like on their phones. I'm like, come on, like look around. Because I think about when we were growing up, we didn't have none of that stuff. I didn't have none of that stuff. Now I'm becoming my father. Like I remember how mad my father got when we started getting social media, when we started getting all the stuff that he didn't have, and I didn't understand him. I'm like, why are you getting so mad? You're hating, and now I'm becoming that person because I'm like, damn, they don't do nothing. These kids nowadays don't do nothing unless it's on social media. I seen them all in a room at the same time, looking at the same thing on social media instead of talking to each other about something. So that's maybe another topic that we could talk about down the line, because what is the effect? What are these kids? How are these kids going to grow up? What's the future looking like?
Yeah, they're arguing like they think the number of people that claim them as a friend on the internet is some kind of indicator of how popular they are. Meanwhile, they probably only actually speak to maybe 10% of that list, if that.
If that.
Yeah. Social media.
So it's and then to that to me is just quantifying something that could be used to just as a tool to make you feel less good about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that many friends. I don't have that many followers. Only 2 people have seen my video, whatever the case may be.
And now you're stressing that.
And and I guess maybe, I am older, and I'm not going to deny that. And I came from a time when I came from an analog world, as Dr. Dan said. And I remember when all you need was 2 or 3 friends, a small circle of friends, and you felt like you had a lifetime full of friends. Now, if you don't have over 1,000 friends, you might be the least popular kid in your class because everyone else got 1,000 plus on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, well, again, though, I feel like it's all about how it's done, though. Like even if you're going to, let's say, hand a tablet to a kid, you can get them engaged in better activities on that. You can get them thinking about it, and if they're going to go to social media anyway, we have a responsibility to talk to them about what it's about.
Or what they're looking at. Monitor what they're looking at, too. You know what I'm saying? Monitor they could see anything. They could see anything. Okay,
but
everything.
I hear you. But I think you're going to stand a better chance of them having a good experience in that if you teach them why it's important to use it the right way. Then they'll actually monitor themselves in a lot of ways. I mean,
that's right.
That's not always going to happen. Of course, there are going to be times where you'll have to step in and be like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. But if you have really good connected conversation with people, which this is so fitting with the show that we do here, you're going to get them to be thinking about it the right way. And that's why I'm wanting, when I think about this, it's about, can we actually use this responsibly? I may be a pessimist when it comes to the mob, but I'm a total optimist when it comes to individuals.
Well, but unfortunately, mobs rule and individuals usually voices get drowned out. I think
Oh,
the
it's
first
true.
step.
We need the
first-
mob to come over to us.
We need the mob to come over to us, and I think the first step to making that happen is to have them watch the episode of The Jeffersons when the Jeffersons have therapy with Tom and
But Tom Jefferson.
well, not Tom Jefferson.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Tom Willis. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm
listen,
kidding.
Helen.
man.
And then
Social
Mr.
media-
Bentley does come over and he gets the door slammed in his face. I think that could be the first step to true social media peace.
If social media, like you said, both of you guys said, if social media is done right, is good. You know, I mean, all I have to say is follow me on social media, Edgar Rivera Comedy. After all that shit we talked about social media, I'm like, listen, follow me on social media because I know what you're saying, Eric. It's like I post something and then like, man, you know what? It doesn't get the reaction that I want, and it's like now, I'm forgetting about the now, which is something Dr. Dan. I'm forgetting about the now, and I'm just focusing on this. I'm not looking around me. I'm not saying, okay, what's around me? I'm just focusing on this. But with that being said, remember Edgar Rivera Comedy. Follow me, follow me, because I could talk all the shit I want about social media, but I still want those followers.
Listen, at least you're trying to get them to follow you, and then you're going to set a good example once they follow you. You know,
Yeah.
It's another thing to just be like, follow me. Now I'm going to go do a
I have to
trial.
get reminded. I have to get reminded what my Instagram name is.
E. Nieves 1217. Come on.
Yes, that is it. That's right. E.
Look at
Nieves
this. Look how
1217. Not really a good comedy name.
Yeah,
That's kind of
yeah.
like
That's
kinda
an email.
that's like an old uncle that just got on social media and just knew his initials and his birthday.
Erica, it sounds like you were born in 1217.
You
That's how
are
old
quite astute. You are the Batman of this panel. You are the
Eric-
Dark Knight. The
Eric
Oh, I
Dark
took
don't.
his
I did not.
detective.
I did not mean you were born on December 17th. I mean, it sounds like you were born in 1200.
in the year 1217. Yes,
Yes.
I was. I don't believe in technology.
When Eric opened up his social media and they asked him for his name, he just took his email, took the @Hotmail, and then the
exactly
WW
what I
out
did.
and just
I
left.
cut the
Boom.
I cut the first part of my email and said, "Well, shit, I could remember that. I wasn't thinking comedy or promoting myself. Now I'm like E with a big schlong. That's what
I
I'm
don't
thinking.
blame you. You were born in 1217.
Yeah.
and I mean, I
BC.
admire that you're even here.
Listen, that was about 150 before Columbus's trip, and let me tell you, things were rough back then.
Yeah, but it's a topic that we could probably keep on going for hours talking about. You know, at the end of the day, there's pros and cons to social media, and just don't go too crazy, man. Just take a look around you, man. I feel like we're missing everything that's happening because we're so focused on social media. Edgar Rivera Comedy. Remember, just follow me one more time.
I can't believe you're doing that at E. Nieves 1217 said.
E. Nieves 1217. That's another thing. People change their names on social media. They put whatever they want. It's crazy. But at the end of the day, you know, it works, man. So if you're watching this right now, I want you to comment down below. Comment down below. Let us know how you feel about social media. How do you feel about social media? Do you agree with Eric? Do you agree with us? How do you feel about that Johnny Depp? And what was the word? What was the word? The grump. What was it?
Grumpy?
Dropping a grumpy.
Dropping a grumpy. Yes.
Dropping a grumpy. Yeah.
Comment down below, man. Remember, just comment, follow us. That's how we know. That's how we get feedback. That's how we know we are talking, doing something good here. So it's not social media, which it almost is because it's YouTube, But definitely comment down below and let us know how you feel about this and how you feel about social media. I'll say this: as much as I hate it at times, I need it. I do need it. I do need it for what I do for my line of business. But I also agree with Eric. There's a lot of people out there that don't need this shit and just using it for the whole, different purpose. And that's when it gets bad. But
just use it responsibly. At
keep it
Crushing
real.
Doubt. Okay.
I crush you down. And now that was the shameless plug section of our program.
Brothersinarms.tv. But
Brothers in
listen,
Arms.
We'll use it
TV.
responsibly.
yeah. Can you imagine? That's what conversations going to get to. That's the future. The future is gonna be us talking shit like that. Yeah, I eat Rivera. E. Nieves 1217 said to Crushing Down that Edgar Rivera Comedy. And what's Greg? What's Greg? Does Greg have a social media? I don't even know. But listen,
Greg is not social.
Mysterious.
he's not
absent
social. But this has been fun, man. This is I think we covered a lot. You know what I like when we do this the podcast, and I don't remember what we talked about in the beginning. I think that was a good podcast.
That's
I think
right.
that was
because the
that-
flow
that-
took you so far away from it.
Boom. We started out and then we just went. And but like I said, man, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Comment down below, please. I look for those comments. Those comments mean a lot to me because this is not what we're doing here. Is not bullshit. What we're doing here is real talk. It's men fucking connecting, men talking about mental health. So it means a lot when you do comment. So please do comment down below. And yeah, man, I think we could wrap this up, huh?
Let's do it. All right. If you haven't already, oh my God, look at that voice. Social media.
He Peter Brady'd it. Peter Brady'd it.
You know what's funny? That made it sound like I was born in 1217.
Sha-na-na-na-na.
All right, here we go. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally.
Nice. Brothers in Arms.
Redefining machismo since we started.
E. Nieves, 1217.
Y Nieves 1217. And we're clear. Okay, all right. How do we feel in the studio, folks?